Physics says your past is still happening, the block time lie. Your past is still happening. You didn't leave it, you're stretched across it. Every moment you've lived isn't gone, it's a slice you'll never stop occupying. You feel a flow because your brain reads slices in order. Physics says the order isn't universal. Get this, there are experiments and equations that make free will feel like theater. But wait, there's a loophole nobody told you about, and it hides where we least expect it. We'll decode block time, the trap inside relativity, the human cost of eternalism, and the cracks that hint at escape. To see why time became a landscape, we need to go back to when speed broke time. When speed broke time, relativity's bomb. Einstein started with a stubborn rule. The laws of physics should look the same to anyone moving at constant speed, and light's speed doesn't budge. That single insistence forced a trade. If light won't change speed, then space and time have to do the bending. Clocks stretch, rulers shrink, and the word now becomes slippery. Here's where it first snaps. Two lightning bolts hit opposite ends of a long train track. A person standing on the platform dead center sees both flashes arrive together and swears they were simultaneous. Meanwhile, someone riding in the middle of the train is moving toward one flash and away from the other. They see the forward flash first, the rear one later. Both are right, because light takes time to travel and the motion changes which light reaches whom when. At the same time, turns into a viewpoint, not a fact. Stakes: if simultaneity isn't real, the present we share is a polite agreement. Presentism wobbles. The smooth, universal now that stories depend on prayers whispered together, countdown clocks, the last look across a room, becomes a patchwork of personal nows stitched by motion. Einstein gave us the equations. Hermann Minkowski gave us the picture. He said time and space are one unified geometry, spacetime. Events are points. Lives are world lines, threads running through the four-dimensional fabric. A person isn't a bead marching along. They're a stretched tube, a world tube with every birthday a coordinate, every goodbye a cross-section. Once you adopt that geometry, grammar changes. Physics stops asking what happens and asks what is. Instead of a film playing frame by frame, you get the entire reel laid on a table. The frames exist, even the ones you haven't watched, yet by moving your eyes along the strip. Meanwhile, something else was happening in laboratories. Time dilation moved from thought experiments to particle beams in airplanes. Muons born high in the atmosphere live longer when racing toward Earth. Atomic clocks flown on jets return a sliver younger than their siblings on the ground. Haefel, Keating, 1971. GPS satellites constantly correct their ticking because motion and gravity skew time. None of this is optional. If you want your phone to know where you are, you have to believe that time runs differently up there. What nobody knew at first was how devastating this would be for the idea of a single, moving present. The relativity of simultaneity isn't a footnote, it's the dismantling of the universal stage. Slice spacetime into nows along one angle and you catch one set of events. Tilt your motion, and your slice catches a different set. There's no privileged way to cut the loaf. Every observer takes their own knife. Here's a human-sized version. Two friends text across a city. One starts jogging east, the other strolls west. Their motion is tiny compared to light, but in principle, the jogging shifts which distant events are counted as now. Scale it up to galaxies, and the effect gets unsettling. As you walk down the street, the set of events you delabel happening right now in Andromeda slides from a future battle to a past truce, depending on whether you're stepping toward or away from it. That's the Andromeda paradox. Reetdake Putnam, 1960s, in Everyday Shoes. You didn't cause a war or a peace. You just revealed how now isn't a shared slice. But there was one problem for people who wanted to keep a flowing present: acceleration. Maybe they hoped when someone speeds up or turns around, the world will pick a single timekeeper. The twin paradox crushes that hope without mercy. One twin rockets to a nearby star and returns. She steps off the ship younger. Her path through spacetime had less proper time. Through the journey, her present never aligned with her twins. The reunion is where their slices finally cross. The younger twin isn't a paradox, she's a measurement. Inside this geometry, causality survives. Light cones, the limits set by the speed of light, keep events in order where it matters. If an event can affect you, it lies inside your future light cone. If you can affect it, the reverse holds. That structure is rigid even while now sways. So we lose a global present but keep cause and effect. The language shift is the quiet revolution. When you say the meeting is at 2, relativity asks, according to which clock? In which frame? When you say it happened at the same time, physics replies, for whom? The more precisely you pin down speed and position, the more you reveal that simultaneity isn't a property of the world but a relationship between an observer and events. Impact? The move from flowing time to laid-out spacetime doesn't just redraw diagrams, it changes what it means for something to exist. If all the points are there, yesterday's fear, tomorrow's resolve, then change is the way a worldline threads through scenes, not a global river pulling everything along. To understand why the block became tempting, remember the bargain we made. Keep light speed fixed, let time flex. That flex unglues a universal present. And once you lose that, the cleanest picture is a block where every event sits, waiting at its coordinate, while different observers swivel their slices and argue about now. Minkowski didn't just add a dimension, he erased something you rely on. The block, Minkowski's terrifying upgrade. Henceforth space by itself and time by itself fade away into mere shadows. Minkowski didn't hedge 1908, he welded them. In his picture, you don't live in time flowing, your life is a geometric object sitting inside spacetime. Events aren't beads popping into existence and winking out, they're coordinates in a four-dimensional map. The train, the platform, the lightning, each is a point. Connect points that belong to the same enduring thing and you draw a world line. Thicken the line to cover the physical extent of a body, and you get a world tube. Get this, your body isn't fully here in the present. It's stretched from birth to death as a long, tapering tube. Tuesday at 3:17 is a circular slice through that tube. Wednesday at 9:02 is another. You don't come into being and then go out of being. The tube already includes the infant in the hospital, the teenager at the bus stop, the older you paying a bill in the quiet kitchen. Walk the tube and there you are. That's Eternalism in street clothes. The view says all events exist. The yard of reality doesn't grow, it just is. What we call flow is the order in which a conscious observer samples slices along a time-like path. Presentism, only the present is real, tries to keep a moving spotlight. Minkowski's geometry switches off that lamp. There's no global now to light, just many valid ways to slice. Here's a human moment inside this hard picture. You flip open an old photo, a birthday with a paper crown frosting on your chin. Eternalism says that scene isn't gone. It's a slice of your tube as real as this one, just not the slice your brain is currently consulting. Grief becomes a geometry problem. The person you lost is still located along their tube. You can't reach that coordinate, but the event exists in the structure. That thought can steady your breathing or hollow it out. Hold on, this isn't about minimizing loss. It's about locating it so you can breathe. But there was one problem for those hoping change is something more than indexing. If everything sits in the block, where do choices live? When did the decision happen? In the block view, choices are features of worldlines, branching causal webs etched into geometry. Your reasons, doubts, and sudden clarity are regions of brain activity at particular coordinates. Becoming turns into being different at different slices. The tension spikes when we talk about agency. If the future is as real as the past, does deliberation matter? The compatibilist move lives comfortably in the block. Your decision at Tuesday 3:17 is part of the full shape and it causes Wednesday's outcome. Cause still runs along the arrows embedded in the block, inside light cones, so agency isn't fake. It's how certain tube regions push others. But the metaphysical openness, the sense that several futures are possible from right here, doesn't fit. in this geometry could have means in nearby physically possible blocks, not in this one. Meanwhile, something else was happening to language. Physicists started saying, this event is space-like separated instead of this happened at the same time. They said worldline intersects instead of we met. That's not pedantry, it's a worldview. When you stop asking what time is it, and start asking what's the space-time interval, you've already accepted that time isn't a universal river but a coordinate you rotate with speed and gravity. Walk the block with a map in hand and you see how change hides in the slicing. Take a loaf of bread marbled with olives. Each cross-section looks different, the pattern shifts, olives drift. Did the olives move? In 3 dimensions, they sit fixed. In the 2-dimensional slices, they seem to slide. The block is like that. The movement is the way our slice intersects a fixed arrangement. If that sounds like a trick, remember the payoff. The block explains why relativity's contradictions evaporate. The jogging friend and strolling friend disagree about which distant events lie on their now, because they're cutting the block at different angles. No paradox, just geometry. The twin paradox becomes 2 world lines of different lengths between the same endpoints. No mystery, just different proper times. There's a cost. Meaning, memory, and mourning have to be rebuilt. Memory becomes a physical record, correlation stored in a brain pointing to earlier slices. It's why you recall breakfasts, not suppers you haven't had. The asymmetry isn't because past slices exist more. It's because your tube carries records toward one direction. We'll follow that trail when we hit entropy. Foreshadow the next twist. Quantum mechanics won't soften this picture the way you hope. Some interpretations graft branching onto the block. Others keep collapse but refuse a single frame to host it. Before that storm nailed down the ground, without a global clock, now is a local cut, and existence is the whole sculpture. And yes, Einstein, Minkowski set this stage in the early 1900s. The lab confirmations, muon lifetime, Haefel, Keating atomic clocks, GPS, lock it in. Minkowski didn't offer comfort, he offered clarity. You wanted a river, he gave you a map. Killing the present, simultaneity isn't real. We've got the block on the table. Now pull the thread that unravels the cozy idea of a shared present. There isn't one. Not in any frame-independent way. In special relativity, you can draw infinitely many now slices through the same spacetime, and each is as valid as the next. That's not a technicality, it's a demolition. Start small. You're standing still, I jog past. We both point at a distant supernova and say, is it exploding right now? In my moving frame, the slice that counts as now snags one set of far-off events, in yours a slightly different set. Locally, we agree on what's happening here. Non-locally, our nows split like pages cut at different angles. Ask, so which is the real present? Physics shrugs. There isn't a unique answer. Acceleration doesn't rescue us. People try to smuggle in a privileged clock by saying, but the world feels different when you turn around. It does. Still, the math never singles out a universal present. The twin paradox is your lived reminder. One twin coasts to a nearby star, turns and returns. She experiences less proper time, so she's younger at reunion. Through the entire voyage, there was no global slice that both called now. Only at the crossing, hello on the launch pad, hello on the tarmac, do their slices coincide. The younger twin isn't a paradox. She's proof that proper time is path-dependent and now is parochial. Want a city-sized version? 2 siblings keep a nightly ritual. Text good night at 10:00. One works a late shift and takes the subway north. The other rides a bus south. They tap send together by their phones, but if you extend their frames to distant galaxies, their simultaneous texts align with different cosmic events. The ritual holds locally because phones agree in a shared network convention. The universe did not sign that convention. Meanwhile, something else was happening in our heads. We're wired for a single stage where scenes roll past together. That stage never existed outside small neighborhoods of spacetime. The bigger your theater, the more you're stitching with assumptions. Relativity of simultaneity doesn't say you can't coordinate. It says your coordination is bookkeeping, not a metaphysical spotlight. Here S where the Andromeda paradox bites. Two pedestrians pass on a London street. One leans forward into a brisk walk, the other leans back, slowing. Because their motion is different, the set of events they'd label as now in Andromeda differ by days. From one viewpoint, a distant fleet has launched. From the other, those ships are still fueled on the tarmac. No signal outruns light, no influence jumps. It's simply that now at a distance has no frame-independent meaning. The paradox is a mirror we hold up to our prejudice, that the universe should share our clock. Stakes, they're personal. If there's no single present, then the feeling that we meet inside a universal moment is something we create by syncing signals, not something the world provides. Weddings, vigils, countdowns, these are feats of engineering, not revelations of cosmic time. Comforting, maybe. Humbling, definitely. But cause and effect, you say, doesn't that need a present? No. Causality runs along light cones, not along present slices. If an event can influence you, it sits in your past light cone. If you can influence it, it lies in your future light cone. This ordering is absolute across frames. No matter how you slice, nobody makes effects precede causes inside allowed paths. The present can splinter. Causality holds the structure together. Let's ground it in a micro story. An astronaut, Maria, signs a contract, a 6-year round trip to a nearby star near light speed with hard burns at each end. Her partner, Eli, stays. They agree to send scheduled messages, one per month by ship's clock, one per month by Earth's. Maria's months are shorter in Eli's frame. Eli's months are longer in Maria's. Messages drift, pile, and then thin. Each reads them now, but their nows never match except at launch and landing. When they reunite, Maria has aged 8 years, Eli 12. Their present never synchronized, their love did anyway. Impact? The block gains teeth. If no global present exists, there's nowhere to hang a moving spotlight that sweeps reality into being. The idea that existence arrives, frame by frame collapses. What exists is the four-dimensional pattern. What feels like arrival is your path through it. This was the moment everything changed for those hoping to salvage presentism with special cases. You can keep a present inside your lab, your ship, your street. You can even define conventional time slices for a nearly uniform cosmos. But the physics refuses to elevate any of these to an absolute. The present isn't killed by cynicism. It's killed by geometry. If physics erases now, can quantum randomness bring it back? Quantum trouble, does collapse rescue time? We just saw the present dissolve under relativity, so maybe quantum mechanics can rebuild it. Measurements feel like moments that actually happen. You open the box, the cat is no longer both alive and dead. That sure sounds like a privileged now, the instant uncertainty gives way to fact. Copenhagen-flavored stories lean into this. A system evolves smoothly, wave function spreading across possibilities until a measurement. Then collapse, probabilities become outcomes. It's tempting to say, that's when reality updates. If collapse is a real physical process, maybe it pins events to a universal present and saves the flow our brains insist on. But there's one problem, no preferred frame. In relativistic quantum field theory, the rules that keep light speed sacred don't leave space for a global hand clap that collapses the universe all at once. If two detectors are space-like separated, which one collapsed first? In one frame, A triggers before B. In another, B leads A. Experiments agree on joint correlations, but not on a universal order of happenings. The math is built to be frame agnostic. Any collapse story that singles out a cosmic clock clashes with the symmetries the rest of physics guards. Okay, so punt collapse to an observer's knowledge. Then it isn't a physical slash through the wave function. It's a bookkeeping update when you learn something. That keeps Lorentz symmetry happy, but the now you rescued is just your mental timestamp. Reality didn't blink, you did. What about many worlds? No collapse at all. The wave function never pinches to one result, it branches. Every outcome with non-zero amplitude gets realized in a larger structure. From your seat inside a branch, you experience one definite result and call that what happened now. The block becomes a branching block. a vast supergeometry where each worldline fans into copies at decohering interactions. Does that restore a special present? Not really. It multiplies futures without privileging a slice. The branching has no global timekeeper. It's defined by interactions and decoherence, which are themselves frame-compatible processes. The moment you feel is a local narrative thread, not a cosmic sweep. Try the pilot wave route. Bohmian mechanics adds hidden variables, particle positions shepherded by a guiding wave. Outcomes look definite because particles always had definite trajectories, just unknown to us. You get determinism back, and with it, a clean story about what's real at every coordinate. But there's a catch. To reproduce quantum correlations, the guiding dynamics is non-local. Many relativistic extensions introduce a preferred foliation, a hidden slicing of spacetime, to define how influences connect instantaneously at a deeper level. That can work as a model, but it reintroduces a background structure that relativity never asked for and experiments don't see. You can hide the foliation, make it empirically inert, and keep predictions. If you do, it doesn't give you an observable present. It gives you a theoretical scaffolding you'll never measure. Meanwhile, decoherence explains why the world looks classical without invoking a literal collapse. Systems entangle with environments, and interference between macroscopically different states dies away fast. Records form, pointers stay stable. You, embedded in that environment, only find yourself in branches where those stable records agree. It's persuasive, powerful, and it doesn't pick a global now. Decoherence is local, continuous, and compatible with relativity's patchwork of frames. It explains why you experience a single outcome, not when the universe flips a switch. Maybe we can force collapse to be objective and fast. Models like GRW and CSL propose spontaneous hits, random collapses sprinkled through time that localize wave functions. They make testable predictions, and people are actively trying to bound the collapse rate. Helpful? Yes. A universal present? No. Those hits are stochastic processes defined so they don't break relativity's statistical structure. They happen relative to local dynamics, not to a master clock visible in the sky. If you insist on a hidden absolute time to schedule them, you're stepping outside confirmed symmetries just to soothe a metaphysical itch. So where does now live in quantum physics? In the same place it lived in relativity, on worldlines, in records, in correlations that define who knows what when. The quantum upgrade isn't a rescue, it's a twist of the knife. Either you accept a branching superstructure where all outcomes exist, or you accept hidden variables that may smuggle in unobservable slices, or you accept collapse as an effective rule for updating beliefs. None of these gives a frame-invariant present. Stakes, big ones. If the micro-level refuses to bless a single happening, the human feeling of arrival can't be anchored in fundamental laws. We meet our moments because brains write records in one direction and call the accumulation now. That's not defeat. It's a clue. Here's the clue spelled out. Everywhere quantum theory talks about events, clicks, tracks, spots, it also talks about information. Who holds it, how it spreads, where it's stored. Decoherence and quantum Darwinism, show how redundancy makes facts subjective. The world looks like it flows in the direction information becomes redundant, copied, and robust. That's an arrow, not a spotlight. If microphysics won't restore a universal present, maybe the reason we feel time's pulse sits in something thermodynamic, entropy, records, memory. Let's go there, because if anything can explain why the block feels like a river, it's the one rule that never points backward. The arrow, why we remember the past, not the future.